Hey, my name's Chris Lambert, and this is the Kanye West News Roundup for, let me go back here, May 16th, 2018, presented by Watching the Throne, a lyrical analysis of Kanye West, the number one Kanye West podcast. We did our Lift Yourself episode, and it's by far our worst quality episode when it comes to narrative and thematic deconstruction. Though granted, there's not much narrative and thematic deconstruction to be had. So some have said it's our funniest song, or our funniest episode, which that might be true depending on your sense of humor. But it's by far our most insane and questionable episode in terms of actual value that it brings. But if you're looking for some entertainment, it might do it for you. A lot of it gets into lift yourself versus lift off. It gets ugly. So we have a few pieces of information and a few tidbits. There's not much Kanye news going on right now. Christina Aguilera gave some comments on Kanye that were very kind, and just saying that she thinks that you get the sense, though, that there's a good guy there. Sometimes we're all just a little misunderstood. So she was polite rather than condemning, which these days it's kind of rare to see. Not to say that I think Kanye doesn't deserve criticism or that people shouldn't be saying things in a negative way. Just, it's nice to see on the flip side somebody bringing a bit more compassion to the situation. I feel like a lot of people that have interacted with Kanye and know Kanye have been saying pretty much the same thing. Even Harvey from TMZ and Van Lathan did a discussion the day after Kanye was at TMZ, where they said that they really think that Kanye meant well, is a good person, isn't somebody that has these negative thoughts that they think that there's been an overreaction to what he was trying to say, and that's TMZ taking that stance. But even T.I. having talked with Kanye, Talib Kweli, others that have spoken with him, Charlemagne, have all said that they think that Kanye means well and is still a good person, and just said some shit that he needs to get more educated on. And there is problems to that, but that Kanye himself isn't necessarily the problem behind that, if that makes sense. His heart is still good. It's just that his understanding of a situation may not be there yet, but that with him being a good person, you think it would catch up eventually as people talk with him and work with him. And some other news, it looks like Yeezy's starting to hire some higher level positions: senior pattern engineer, general manager, divisional VP, in-house publicist. So if you are ready to drop everything in your life and go work for Yeezy, that might be happening soon. You imagine that they get the higher level positions set and then start hiring more at the entry level. So pack your bags, and I hope you get the job. That you can see Ryan Butler talked about it, and Ryan Butler, in case you're curious, graphic designer. It would take me back to Team Kanye Daily, because we're going to be talking about this just a little bit more. So there's a little bit of drama in terms of where is Kanye currently. Ruby Dooby Doo shared a post on our Kanye saying that Kanye is currently on a mega yacht in South Carolina, Charleston. And we know that Kanye was in Charleston because he had dinner there with Danny McBride. Yes, that Danny McBride. We don't know why, what brought him out there to begin with, if it was Danny. Maybe Danny McBride is this album's Seth Rogen, where he just sat him down and made him listen to the whole thing. If so, Danny McBride's a lucky man. And somebody asked for proof about the yacht, and Ruby Dooby Doo provided this picture. It looks like a yacht worthy of Kanye. But then S. Carolina comes in saying, "False alarm, buddy. He was here, stayed at a hotel downtown for a night, then back to LA. Mega yacht is owned by a British businessman, was in Savannah first, now docked up in CHS, not Kanye's." But Ruby Dooby Doo fires back. "I've been told by marina employees several times that Kanye rented Mr. Joe Lewis's yacht for the rest of the week and slashed a number of employees on the ship for privacy and less distractions." So he's in Charleston, right? But today, around the same time that that post was made, Team Kanye Daily tweeted out social media images from Hudson Mohawk, a collaborator of Kanye's, 5 a.m. LA departure up to the mountains, familiar peaks of Wyoming. So it looks like Hudson Mohawk has gone to Wyoming to do some work. So does that mean that Kanye is in Wyoming working with Hudson? Is he still in South Carolina, in Charleston, working from the yacht while Hudson's in Wyoming just doing some work waiting for Kanye to come back? Does it really fucking matter either way where he is? I mean, we know that Kanye exists in the world still and that the album's being worked on. So maybe that's all that really matters at the end of the day. There's this article by Rob Dozier on theoutline.com. Kanye West's worst song is now a little bit better. And it's just a list of remixes of Live Yourself. Oh my god, that's so loud. So loud. So I'm going to share a link to this if you want to hear some of the remixes. But now a bit into the main course of the discussion, which is the fact that J. Cole and Angie Martinez had an interview, and for about 20 minutes, J. Cole talked about Kanye. And Angie framed the conversation in terms of False Prophets, and that song being about Kanye, and speaking on the fact that Kanye had recently had a phone call with J. Cole and the progress of that, followed by the fallout of Kanye tweeting about it. And J. Cole talks a lot about it. I think it's the most we've ever heard him talk about Kanye. And I want to say off the top that I really think it's worth watching because Cole has a viewpoint and is eloquent. And I think that viewpoint is something that a lot of people share. So if you want to have more of an understanding of the various perspectives on this conversation of Kanye that might align with your own, might not be in line with your own, but you want to understand, this is definitely a way to see more into that perspective. And I do think in general, when Cole's not talking about Kanye, but talking about celebrity and the current celebrity worship and where that comes from and why it is and what can be done about it, that I agree with everything that he's saying. Celebrity worship, and this might be kind of ironic coming from somebody that has a Kanye West podcast and does Kanye News YouTube videos, but I do think celebrity worship is a major problem going on right now. And the thing that I tell myself, at least, is the fact that, this is our scholarship, right? Like, Travis and I are journalists, we're critics, we're doing narrative and thematic deconstructions as professional critics, and also doing analysis of news and the conversation around Kanye and being part of that conversation. And to us, it's very much a part of just the 21st century discussion around an artist. I mean, Kanye is an artist that is going to be talked about for generations, the same way that we still talk about Beethoven, the same way that we talk about Picasso, the Beatles. Kanye's in that conversation from here on out. And I think that this is just how scholarship gets done these days. It's very real time. It's about shaping the conversation and being part of the conversation rather than just, being at a university and writing papers and publishing theses and journals that nobody's ever going to read. Like, to me at least, like, this isn't necessarily about worshiping Kanye as an artist, but tracking the artist and being part of that conversation. though maybe the line blurs sometimes, and maybe there is the celebrity worship. Yeah, I think personally that we have a lot of nuance and understanding, at least I feel like we do, of Kanye from how much we read about him and know from our secondhand, third-hand, fourth-hand experiences, that we can be a bit more forgiving at times because we do have the nuance, where some conversations and some articles that are written, there's no understanding of the nuance, and that shapes the conversation in a different way. But at the end of the day, I really think that the celebrity worship that's part of society, specifically American society, is very problematic. And it's something that Kanye tried to address with the Famous video. And it's something that he's addressed in his music for a long time about, at least from the celebrity's perspective, about how celebrity breaks you down, but not so much from the reverse perspective of how we worship celebrities, which is something that Cole addressed in False Prophets. And God, I get bothered because this interview with Angie, just to play a part.
So he got he got a career, I got a career, I got a family, he got a family. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not as easy. It would have been easier back then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it would be like, yo, you really got to block off a lot of time.
I think you should do it. Yeah. Do it for the people.
Right.
Do it for the people, Cole.
Here it is. Here.
I'm going to take you back to the last album.
Okay.
False Prophets.
I'm going to take you to False Prophets.
Yes.
Because this came up a lot during the recent Kanye, I don't know what that was, episode. Mm-hmm. This Kanye episode. A lot of people posted Instagram clips of you. Have you seen those? You've seen those.
Yep.
And then also Kanye did the interview where he said, I think it was with Charlemagne, I think he said that he felt like you had been taking digs at him in those songs for a while. But then he posted you were on the phone together. Mm-hmm. What are we to make of all of that?
Yeah.
Nice question, Angie. I agree.
On which part?
I know.
Which part?
You've spoken clearly.
Yeah, I talked to him.
Yeah. Did you not know that picture was going up?
Of course not.
Yeah.
No way. I would have never...
made the call. Did you make the call or he made the call?
Nah, he called me, but I would have never posted that or tell him to post that. You know what I mean? I didn't, that made me feel a certain type of way. I told him that.
Because it's private, right? It's like...
It just made me... He apologized for the record. It's not like I'm just saying this.
Right.
But then I told him, it felt like you... And it felt like you just used my name in that very quick conversation for social media and for to keep your thing going, whatever you were doing, you know what I mean? And I just felt like it wasn't sincere because of that.
What do you make of all this? What was...
So, I have major issues. On the one hand, I do get where he's coming from, and I think if he were in this situation on its own, yes, I get being upset that you had a phone call with somebody and you thought that it was meaningful, that they were reaching out, and then you see they posted on social media that you two talked, and that it feels like it was something much more hollow, much more superficial, like you were just being used for some kind of publicity, really, rather than the person actually calling. It's not like Kanye called 6 months ago when the album wasn't even being discussed. It's not like he called a year ago when he was just completely outside of all the media attention. The fact that he calls a month to go before his album drops and shares it on social media when he's drawing all this attention to social media, I get that. But we're in the larger context of Cole as a human being that's existed and done things, and there's something very hypocritical to me about the fact that he is upset that Kanye shared a tweet that just said, "We got love," and it was a phone call. Nothing more than that. It's not like Kanye was gushing like, "Oh, I talked with Cole. Cole loves me. He loved Life of Pablo. He's such a fan of mine." He was just gushing. It's not like Kanye was saying stuff like that. It's not like he was saying, oh, I talked with Cole, I set him straight, we're clear now. You know, I could tell he was nervous to talk, but, you know, things are okay. It was just, we talked, which to me doesn't seem like any kind of necessarily betrayal. Each person has their lines, right? And Cole obviously felt that that was wrong and that it was used for publicity. But you look at False Prophets, which in this interview, I'm so sorry, in this interview with Angie Martinez, Cole confirms for the first time, because there was speculation, and people thought it was about Kanye, at least that first verse. And we never had confirmation either way about it. And this is the first time that Cole says that the song's not about Kanye, but, you know, that first on the song that are about Kanye. And he says that he actually started writing the song January of 2016, months before anybody was talking about Kanye's mental health. And he did that because he was looking at Kanye going on rants, looking at the stuff that Kanye was posting on social media and thinking, like, this is somebody that's not okay. Like, there's a mental health issue going on, and he wanted to talk about mental health before there was actually a breakdown. And not the aftermath of the event, but, as kind of we need to talk about it before something happens. And I think that's admirable that you want to bring up, like, I think something is wrong, I think this person needs help, I want to have a conversation about this. But Cole did it in a song that he released, you know, weeks or a month before his album came out. He used what he was thinking about Kanye and his views on Kanye to make money as publicity, as I don't know if that's necessarily art, because it wasn't even on the album. It was just almost a promotional song, a promotional video. And while I agree with the idea that idol worship is problematic, how he describes Kanye in that song, and to then go and say that, like, how dare Kanye use a phone call with J. Cole as promotion, that made him feel bad. J. Cole used an entire song attacking Kanye as promotion and wanting to talk about Kanye's mental health while just shitting all over Kanye and coming out of it thinking, like, I can't believe I ever idolized that guy. Like, the fuck was I thinking? Like, we can't do that. They're false prophets. There's nothing about that that's showing concern for Kanye. There's nothing about that that's wanting to talk about mental health and coming out and saying, like, hey, everybody, I want to talk about mental health. I've been looking at Kanye. I'm concerned. Kanye, call me. No, he's just doing exactly what, I think in a worse way, what he was just upset with Kanye at doing. And let's just revisit the False Prophets lyrics. Life is a balance. You lose your grip, you can slip into an abyss. No doubt you see these people tripping, ego in charge of every move. He's a star, and we can't look away due to the days that caught our hearts. He's falling apart, but we deny it. Okay, that's, I think, dramatic, but not too bad so far. Justifying that half-ass shit he dropped. We always buy it. Now he's attacking the quality of Kanye's music, an album that got plenty of critical love, that the public loved, and same with Yeezus. Yeezus was critically acclaimed and was ahead of its time, and now 5 years on is being regarded as it should have way back when. But yet here Cole's saying, justifying that half-ass shit he dropped. So you're attacking his artistry. When he tells us he's a genius, but it's clear lately, it's been hard for him to look into the mirror lately. Like, that's very dramatic too. Now you're saying that this guy's, like, self-esteem is collapsing and his self-doubt is growing and that he's feeling this guilt. It's a lot of assumption to make about somebody, that they can't look into the mirror and face themselves. There was a time when this guy was my hero. Maybe that's the reason why his fall from grace is hard to take. Because I believed him when he said his shit was pure. And he the type of guy, swear he real, but all around him's fake. The women, the dick riders, you know, the yes men. So now here Cole is saying that all of Kanye's existence, his wife, his friends, his group, are all fake. which that's insanely insulting as well. If anybody were to say that about J. Cole, I'm sure he would be very upset. And yet here he felt entitled to say that kind of shit about Kanye. Nobody with the balls to say something to contest him, so he grows out of control. And this is from somebody that admits to not having that kind of close relationship with Kanye. Kanye's on the West Coast, Cole's on the East Coast. They don't talk often, they don't hang out. They've obviously not been in communication for a while. So Cole's just making a ton of assumptions. He grows out of control into the person that he truly was all along. It's starting to show. So now this means that you're calling all of the past perception of Kanye, you know, who he was from 2004 to 2010, where we idolized him or thought positive about him, that he was this person all along, this monster that can't look at himself in the mirror, is crazy, is a liar, surrounds himself with fake people, and that it was just your perception of him that was wrong. That's also dramatic and insulting. Ugh. Damn, wonder what happened. Maybe it's my fault for idolizing based off the words they be rapping, but come to find out, these guys don't even write they shit. Now he's accusing Kanye of not even writing his own songs. Here's some new style bubbling up, then they bite this shit. Which gets into the fact, which he might be talking more about the collective now, but still having framed it about Kanye throughout this verse, it now just seems accusatory of Kanye as well. That they just bite, they don't write, and they're not the artists that J. Cole thought that they were. What's more important is he's crying out for help while the world's egging him on. I'm begging him to stop. No, you're not. Like, what kind of assumptive shit is that? You're not reaching out, you're not doing anything, you're writing a song that you're then using as promotion for your new album and selling. You're not begging him to stop at all. You're just watching the self-destruction that you think is happening going, oh, that sucks, let me capitalize on this. Like, what the fuck? Playing his old shit knowing he won't top it. Like, that's insulting as hell as well. Especially to other listeners that feel like he has topped it. What makes J. Cole the... God. This song makes me so angry. So Cole goes into this whole thing about the idea of false prophets and celebrities and celebrity worship and how dangerous that is. And again, I agree with a lot of the things that he's saying, especially when he talks about where that need comes from. That oftentimes we use it as an escape from ourselves. That we don't want to think about the things going on in our life, so we focus on this celebrity and make them kind of our world. And that can be dangerous because then you will support anything that they do because you need them. Or it means when you don't have them anymore because of some situation, like R. Kelly, for example. If you were all about R. Kelly and then you're like, oh shit, he did what? Then you don't have that anymore. And suddenly all these things that you've been pushing away come crashing in on you. And he compares that to relationships. And I think that that's a key thing in relationships as well, that when two people aren't okay with themselves but try to rely on somebody else to feel better, that relationship is in dire straits because you're so desperate for the other person to be what you need that you can't just let them be themselves and you can't be the best version of you, and you end up tearing each other apart. Cole talks about that very eloquently. But I just think that there's a hypocrisy to his framing of everything with Kanye and the fact that he released a song like False Prophets and felt okay about releasing a song like False Prophets and saying those things about Kanye when Kanye has never addressed J. Cole in any kind of way. And even just tweeting a picture that they're on a phone call, J. Cole takes affront at that. And he makes this big deal about saying that he would never, disrespect somebody like that, that if he and Angie were talking one-on-one in private, he would open up about how he's feeling about everything because that's a conversation between them. But he doesn't like going on social media and calling people out. He doesn't like even talking about it in this interview. There are times he says he's uncomfortable because he doesn't want to be the guy that's like broadcasting that. Which, I mean, on the flip side, maybe he thinks that that first verse of False Prophets isn't about Kanye then, even though he said that he wrote it with Kanye in mind. Maybe he thinks that there's enough of a disconnect that it's not him doing the thing that he just said that he doesn't like to do. But to me, it sounds like he's just doing the exact thing he said he doesn't like to do, but just put it into a song, and that's okay. I don't know. I have a lot of issues with that. And he gets into some... I think the ego talk and the celebrity worship is probably the two most relevant things. And I guess the ego is interesting to me because I often feel like people will say things and say that they don't like doing that, or that it bothers them when somebody else does it, and then they do that exact thing, which I'm guilty of that as well. But he's talking about ego and how dangerous ego is and how he tries to check his ego. And yet so much of his perspective in this interview strikes me as somebody that's ego is getting the best of them. Maybe that's not entirely fair as an accusation to make, but there's one point where he talks about the term free thinking and Kanye using the term free thinking. And he's just like, what does that even mean? I feel like 2 to 3 months ago, people weren't even talking about free thinking. Like, what's free thinking mean to you? And Angie Martinez kind of like makes a face. He's like, exactly. See, you made this face. And she's kind of like, well, free thinking to me means that you're able to say and express things without having kind of the backlash from it. You're just able to say it. And Cole kind of goes in on that notion in more of a negative way. And it just strikes me as like, you're somebody that was just talking about ego and not having an ego, but here your perspective on the subject and the topic feels like the thing that makes the most sense to you, but you're framing it that this is just how it is and the way it is without leaving room for other perspectives. Like with Kanye sharing the tweet of the phone call, it wasn't that Cole thought, maybe Kanye's coming from this perspective on it and he's been talking about love and talking about having communications, or that Kanye being as open as he's being and saying that, like, I don't care, I don't need to act a certain way for my fans, I need to act like myself, and they'll know that they can act like themselves. That kind of gets into the same kind of anti-celebrity worship that Cole's been talking about. That Kanye doesn't have to act a certain way to try to make people like him and care about him and worship him as a celebrity. That he's okay with being himself and having people angry at him because he knows that they'll then feel okay to be themselves. And how does that play in with sharing the text message and just showing like people have conversations, we're growing, we're doing this, that it's not just about promotion or drawing attention, that there could be another perspective. I don't know. I just feel like there's some problems with his viewpoints, but then at the same time, I think the viewpoint is a one to hear and listen to. So before I ramble more and more on the subject, I'm just going to leave it there. If you have some thoughts on the interview, would love to hear them. Go ahead and comment and get the discussion rolling. And I don't think I'm going to have any promotion at the end of this video today, but there are links down in the info if you want to look at how to support us. And, thanks for watching. Cheers.